Are y'all jamming like we are over here to Jill Scott and Golden this morning? Woo! Thank you for our background tech team who has the jams rolling this morning. And now for the moment we've been waiting for as we transition to our morning keynote address, Building the Thriving Future We Deserve. We are honored and excited this morning to welcome our very special guest and international empowerment speaker and coach, Dr. Cheryl Wood. Dr. Wood, I'm going to give you a full and proper introduction, but I just want to say good morning to you. Thank you for being here, and you look amazing. You are raising the vibration with all of that glowing beauty this morning. Yes. Dr. Wood is the CEO of Cheryl Empowers Incorporated. She is an international empowerment speaker, as I said, a 2-time TEDx speaker, 15-time best-selling author, and executive speaker development coach. And as I said to you on the phone, Dr. Wood, you're just an empowerment coach to me, not just a speaker coach, an empowerment coach, a life coach, an excellence coach. She specializes in equipping women with the tools to unleash the power of their voice, transform their lives with their stories, and monetize their subject matter expertise. We've talked about that this weekend. Monetize our subject matter expertise, pay Black women what we deserve. Dr. Wood has trained countless women entrepreneurs and leaders across the world, not just the United States, but abroad in South Africa, India, France, United Kingdom, Canada, Jamaica, and the Bahamas. And I know this to be true because I follow you, Dr. Wood, on your social media channels. I see your globe hopping adventures to empower women, people across this world. We honor you this morning for just the fabulosity and the power of what you bring. Dr. Wood empowers women to get out of their comfort zone. Get ready this morning, y'all, to get out of their comfort zone, to take calculated risks, pursue their big dreams, and become the best version of themselves while incorporating mindset wellness, life balance, and self-care as mandatory priorities. Dr. Wood has been featured on ABC, Radio 1, Forbes Magazine, Huffington Post, Essence, Black Enterprise, Rolling Out, and Sheen Magazine, just to name a few. And she is here today to call us to action in building the thriving future we deserve. Welcome, Dr. Wood. The stage is yours.
I am so energized. I'm fired up. I'm turned up. I'm pumped up. I hope y'all are ready for what I'm bringing this morning. Now, look, let me just tell you this. I'm a huge proponent of energy. Energy is contagious. It's infectious. And your energy, how you show up and the energy that you expend is either going to magnetize to you everything you want for your future, or it is going to repel everything that you want. So I want to make sure we open up this morning with a winner's energy. I want you guys to type that in the chat. Winner's energy. A winner's energy is different than the energy from someone who's simply playing in the space of mediocrity. A winner's energy is different than someone who's playing in a space that, oh, I'm good where I am. I'm okay just being average. Ain't nothing average about any of you. God made you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God don't make no junk. So I need you to come this morning ready to be energized, ready to be fired up, ready to pour out all that you have been given, all that you are into the world so that you create what I call a living legacy. A legacy is something that you pass down, but you get to create it while you are in the land of the living. And none of us are promised tomorrow. So we have to start legacy today. I want you to type that in the chat. My legacy starts today. Some of us are waiting on. I don't know what we're waiting on. Some of us are playing the win then game. Oh, when this happens, then I'll get started on my legacy creation, Dr. Wood. Then I will get started on using my unique fingerprint in the world. And I'm here to remind you that legacy must start today, because you have life and breath in your body today, which means you are on divine assignment today. I don't know if they're ready, Lisa. I don't know if they're ready, but you might want to get ready. Type in the chat, I am on divine assignment. I am on divine assignment. Acknowledging that you are on divine assignment means you always wake up with a spirit of gratitude that today you get to make your life bigger than you. You want to talk about building a thriving future? Make your life bigger than you. Bigger than you means you show up and you walk in this thing called greatness. You show up and you walk in your unique lane of brilliance, your unique God-given gift without apologies, without regrets, without excuses, because you understand that somebody somewhere is waiting on the very thing that you are sitting on. Someone somewhere is waiting on the very thing that you're sitting on. Let me break this down just a little bit for you. We are about to approach the holidays, right? In just a couple of months. In fact, just a couple of days ago, I remember telling my kids, I have 3 teenagers, if you can believe it. I have 2 sons, they're 13 and 14, and I have a daughter who is 17. And I just told them the other day, I said, make sure you send me your Christmas list, because, you know, Christmas is going to be here in a hot second. And I can't wait until December to try to get what you want. So we're approaching the holidays. Imagine that there's someone that you care for, and you care so much for this person that you go out into the holiday traffic with all the craziness that goes with that and the chaos with the holiday lines, but you love and care for this person so much that you go ahead and you tackle those things and you go and choose something specific just for this person. And you don't just get a gift card. Nothing wrong with gift cards, y'all. But you don't just get a gift card. You don't just get a card and put money in an envelope. No, you go and you look for something specific that fits this person's personality. You know this person inside and out, and you say, oh, you find the thing, and you're like, he or she is going to love this. I can't wait to gift it to him or her. But not only that, you take an extra step and you go stand in another line and you go and you get that beautiful gift wrapped, because presentation is everything. And you come to that person's house and you give them the gift. Now, you really want to stay and see them open it up because you want to see their expression, but you don't. You deliver the gift. In your heart, you're smiling. There's joy because you know they're going to love it when they open it, and you go about your business. And imagine a year goes by and you come back to that same person's house, and maybe you're just there for a dinner, or maybe you're there for the holidays again. And as you come into their home, you look over to their dining room table and you see a package that looks a little familiar. And so because it looks a little familiar, well, you're curious, so you've got to get a closer look. And you get a little closer and you get a little closer, and lo and behold, you discover that's the gift I gave her last year. Wait a minute. It's still in the package. She never opened it. But I took my time. I took my energy. I stood in line. I fought traffic to choose that gift just for her, and she never even opened it. How would you feel? Type in the chat, what would be the emotions that you would be experiencing if that were you? You would unlikely or most likely feel hurt. You might feel a little angry. You might be upset because the person never even opened the gift. Well, how do you think God feels about those of you who haven't even opened your gift? Woo! He created it just for you, designed it just for you, didn't give it to nobody else but you. And no one can duplicate the gift that he placed in you. He masterfully crafted it for you to use because he knew that would be how you would create legacy. He knew that that would be how you use your fingerprints in the world. He knew that's how you would make your life bigger than you. And he gifted that thing to you, but you haven't even opened the package. Or for some of you, you've opened the package, you took the lid off, you looked in, you peeked in, and you put the lid back on. See, every one of us has been given a gift. And when we talk about building a thriving future, it is about taking what we have been gifted and pouring it back out, giving it back as a gift. Your gifting is the greatest gift of all times because it is the gift that keeps on giving. So my question is, what's up with you? What is up with you? Are you sitting on the gift? Are you still playing the win then game? Or maybe you've gotten caught up in this thing called imposter syndrome. You know, we think that we're not good enough. I ain't enough. I'm never going to be enough. I'm not qualified. I'm not worthy. And we're looking for everybody outside of us to give us permission and validation to be great when greatness was given to you when you came out of the womb. So I say to you, all of you are on divine assignment. The question simply becomes, will you accept, embrace, and take ownership of the divine assignment? Yes, you are enough. Yes, you are worthy. And yes, you are capable of what you have been called to do. And you have been called to something very specific. Now, I don't know each and every one of you individually. Jasmia, Unifer, April, Paulette, I see you here. Corinda, I don't know your gift without meeting you, speaking with you, talking to you, but I know that you have a gift. Why? Because none of us are here without a gift. None of us are here without something that we are purposed to do. But we play in the space of imposter syndrome. We play in the space of perfection paralysis. How many of you have played in the space of perfection paralysis? Just type in the chat, that's me. If that's you right now, and you know there's some greater calling on your life, there's some greater future ahead of you, you know you've gotten a vision, a divine download of who you are meant to be, but you haven't stepped into it because of perfection paralysis, I want you to just own it right now. Is anybody willing to own it and call yourself out for the fact that you are still playing in a space of perfection paralysis? I see you, Glenna. Thank you for your transparency. Jesse and Amy and Christine and Constance, I see you all. Thank you for owning that. Okay? Thank you for owning that. And now that you own it, it is time for you to choose that you are going to shift. Perfection is an unachievable goal that will only rob you of everything you are capable of achieving. So we're not going to play in a space or a lane of perfection paralysis. In fact, what I teach my clients is excellence over perfection. Always excellence over perfection. And as you are striving for greater, as you are walking into this space of curiosity and exploration about who you are, who you're meant to be, who you're becoming, and what your legacy is destined to be, I want you to give yourself permission to always execute in excellence versus perfection. Now, here's a second thing, which is so important if you're really going to thrive in your future and create a future that you deserve, right? First of all, let's break down that word thrive. To thrive means what? It means to flourish. It means to prosper. It means you ain't okay with just mediocrity. You're not okay with just ordinary. You know that there's something greater. You start to create a greater expectation for yourself. You start to raise the bar for what you know you should be doing. And of course, all of us know life is too short for regrets. And I should have, I could have, I would have. So we got to play in the space called thriving now, owning our future, creating a life we're in love with, creating a life we deserve now. But let me share with you one of the other things, in addition to imposter syndrome and perfection paralysis, that keeps so many people stuck. And I'm going to need y'all feedback. I want you to talk back to me. I need to hear you. I know from firsthand experience that many of us are not creating our best lives. We're not thriving because of this 4-letter word called fear. Fear. Oh yeah, fear talks more people out of their dreams than any other derailer. So I want us right now to call it out. And I'm going to share with you my own story of fear, because I don't want you to think that I'm here and you're here. No, I struggle with the same things, you guys. Let me tell you where I am. Can I be transparent? Can I be authentic and transparent? Give me a yes or a yes. Is it okay if I just pour my soul out? If I just give it all to you today while I'm here with you? Give me a yes or yes. I need to see enough yeses before I move forward. Let me see. April said yes. Jasmine said yes. Lisa said yes. Kristen said yes. Corinda, I think Corinda is saying yes. Glenda said yes. Rita said yes. All right, great. Jasmine said yes. Emily said yes. Mary, Valise, Marvel. Okay. The reason you see this background is because right now I am in a hotel room in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, I live in Maryland. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, because I am hosting an event with Les Brown. If you don't know who he is, let me show you the picture. Yes, I also have a book with him. This man here, the legend of all legends, motivational speaking. If you know him, let me know. Just say Les. I know Les. Type that in the chat. I am here hosting a live event with a legend who's been in the business for 53 years. Everything in my spirit was fearful. Are you good enough, Cheryl? Is this going to succeed? Is this event going to be an epic failure? Is everything going to go the way you thought it's going to go? Are you going to say the right words, do the right thing, get the right people? Fear was right there trying to keep me stuck to a space of mediocrity. Fear tried to hold me hostage to not executing on what I know is the next level in this journey in my future. How many of you have faced that moment or moments in your life, in your journey, where fear tries to keep you hostage to where you are and not allow you to be great, to go where you're supposed to be going, to create a life that you're in love with, to create a life that you know you deserve, to create abundance and prosperity and impact and legacy? How many of you have ever had to literally give fear a kick in the gut? Come on, y'all. I need to hear from you. How many of you have ever had to give fear a kick in the gut and say, no, not today? Like you had to stand up to fear, because fear can be a bully. Fear can bully you out of your greatness. It can bully you out of a thriving future, a future where you are whole, where you have abundance in your mind, your body, your spirit, and your soul. And fear spans across such a big reach. There's fear of failure. There's fear of success. There's fear of judgment from others and what they gonna say. There's fear that, well, suppose I do succeed and what are people gonna say? There's fear of feeling inadequate. Fear keeps more people hostage than any other distraction or derailer. And I am here to say it is time for us to face fear and do it anyway. So today I'm in this room because I chose to face fear and do it anyway. That's a decision. If you want a thriving future, you got to make some decisions, and some of them are going to be tough. But Tony Robbins, motivational guru, says it best. He says a real decision is measured by the fact that you've taken a new action. And if there is no new action, you have not truly decided. Ladies, have you decided that you want to be great? Have you decided that you want to build a thriving future? You don't want to survive. I don't want to survive, God. I don't want to survive. I serve a God of abundance. And if I serve a God of abundance and I'm created in his image, then I get to have a life of abundance. I get the right to choose a life of abundance. It is a choice. It is a decision. And the decision is manifested by the actions that you consistently put in. Now let's talk about actions. I want you to type this in the chat. My expectation can never be bigger than my execution. Ooh, Lisa. I don't know if they're ready. My expectation can never be bigger than my execution. If you think you're going to withdraw greatness in this thing called life, if you think you're going to set yourself up for a dynamic future, if you think you're going to touch lives and you're going to wake up every day and excited and energized by what you get to do, if you think you're going to have wealth and prosperity and create generational wealth for generations to come, if you think you're going to touch lives and impact lives, if you think you're going to have health and wellness, if you think you're going to do anything great, you've got to put more deposits in than you try to withdraw. I have never been able to go to my bank account with my ATM card, put the ATM card, punch in my code, and ask for a withdrawal if I know the money ain't there yet. So you've got to put deposits in so that you can get to a place where you say, you know what, now I can withdraw. Because I've made so many deposits, because I've planted so many seeds. Type this in the chat. I'm going to plant so many seeds that I lose count. I'm going to plant so many seeds into my future and who I'm becoming and what I get to do and how I get to show up in the world and how I get to inspire other people through my actions and how I get to influence and how I get to lead others. My expectation can never be bigger than my execution. I've got to plant seeds, so many that I lose count. And then when you plant and you plant and you plant some more, that's when eventually the harvest comes in. And some of you are giving up before the harvest comes in. Some of you have been dreaming a big dream. You've been thinking about a bright future. You've been thinking about whatever the thing is that you feel like you've been called to do, the thing it's in your belly. It's urging you to let it out, but you haven't let it out. Whatever that thing is, some of you are in that space of wanting to let it out, but you don't let it out because you're afraid of the responsibility that comes with releasing your greatness. Yes, it's a responsibility. But yes, you have what it takes to manifest whatever you say you want. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right, my sisters. Whether you think you can or think you can't. So your job is to show up every day, as I say, and I want you to type this hashtag powerfully humble. Woo! Now, when you see me do that, when you see Dr. Cheryl do that, to clap, that means I'm getting goosebumps too. You know why? Because this is what we call shifting the mind. This is how I talk to myself every day. I'm only being a reflection to you of what I say to myself on a daily basis. I've got to be my own biggest cheerleader every day. Why? Because life will gut punch you. Life will try to keep you down and have its foot on your neck. And you've got to wake up with a winner's spirit and a winner's mindset. Determined, dedicated, disciplined, committed, not interested in having a thriving future, committed to having a thriving future. I will not survive. I will thrive. What I focus on is what expands. What I focus on. So are you focusing on what you don't want, or are you focusing your time, your energy, and everything in your fiber, every fiber in your being on what you do want? Because if you're focusing on what you do want, that's what you will speak out of your mouth. You will speak life into your future. You will speak life into your wellness, your mind, your body, your spirit. You will speak everything positive, everything that's wrapped around abundance and prosperity. And you can have prosperity in every aspect of your life. You don't have to sell yourself short. No, you get to make a decision that you will thrive. You will flourish. You will prosper. But yeah, you got to give some stuff up. Yeah, you've got to get rid of some distractions. Yeah, you've got to show up and make deposits. Now, let me say this. And some of you, this gonna hurt a little bit, but some of you need to release some things. Now, this is what I tell my clients. I say, always keep your hands open. If you want to thrive, keep both hands open. Why do we keep both hands open? Because when we keep both hands open, we give God permission to say, God, please, I am willing to release and receive. Whew. I am willing to release and receive. And what I mean by that is most of us want the hand open and we want to receive, but we don't want to release the things God says we got to release in order to receive the next blessing. Come on, somebody. Like, you can't even get to the next level. You can't even get the next blessing because you're so busy holding on to the thing God says release. And some of it is people. There's some people you got to release because they can't go with you into your next level of your next season. They don't have the capacity to celebrate you as you're going to that next level. You've got to be willing to say, I release the things that no longer serve me well based on where I know I'm going. People, places, things. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them, you don't still care for them, but you've got to release so you can receive. So I beg of you to keep your hands open And I beg of those of you who have been on your journey for a while and you've been discouraged and you feel like you've been beaten up and beaten down, don't you dare quit. Don't you dare quit. Don't you quit before your dream manifests. You get up quicker than the next person. You dust off. Get you a good box of Band-Aids. Come on, Lisa, tell them get some good Band-Aids, because you're going to be scraped up and you're going to be bruised up and you're going to feel some of those battle scars as you're striving towards having a thriving, a prosperous, a flourishing future, as you are creating this amazing life that you're just like, God, I can't even believe this is my life and my reality, a life that serves other people, a life that you are excited to wake up to. You don't need the alarm clock. That's the life we're talking about. No, I don't need an alarm clock to get up because I'm walking in divine assignment. I don't have to hit snooze 5 times because I'm doing what I've been called to do. Not the thing somebody's paying me to do, the thing I've been called to do. Every single one of you is called and equipped for a certain life that only you know what that life is. And it's not dependent upon your titles. It's not dependent upon what kind of car you drive or the house you live in. It's not dependent upon the handbag that you carry or the necklace or the shoes or anything. It's simply dependent upon you being willing to step up to the plate and honor your divine assignment, your unique lane of brilliance. Now, you might hear me and you're like, well, man, she's confident and she has it all together. And I might look like I have it all together. Well, first of all, let me just say this. I might look like I have it all together today because, first of all, my face is beat to the gods, ladies. But my face is beat to the gods because I'm having this event with Les Brown, okay? I don't wake up like this. I don't wake up like this. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't care how much money I have in the account now. I don't care how many stages I'm taking around the world. I don't care what the bio says right now. The bio is the sexy chapter 12. The bio is the sexy chapter 12. Don't you dare compare your chapter 1 to my chapter 12. Don't do it to yourself, because I've put in the work to get here. I've sacrificed to get here. I've invested to get here, and I still invest, and I still sacrifice, and I still give up distraction, and I still release people, and I still have to dream big, and I still have to do affirmations and mantras, and I still have to remind myself sometimes that, Cheryl, you are enough. Just as you are enough to host this event with Les Brown. Do you think fear doesn't creep in on me sometimes and try to convince me that I ain't good enough? I'm a little Black girl. I grew up in the inner city in a housing project in Baltimore, Maryland, Lafayette projects. You don't have to even know nothing about Baltimore. You don't have to know nothing about Lafayette projects, but you know what is synonymous and connected to the projects. Poverty, extreme poverty. Growing up as a young girl, nobody was telling me I could be a giant in the world. Nobody was telling me I could have a bright, thriving future. Everybody was telling me I would just be another statistic. And that's the mindset that was going on. You'll just be another number. You'll just be another statistic. You'll never be a giant in the world. You'll never create wealth. Nobody told me that I had permission to become a Black woman millionaire. Nobody gave me that permission. I took ownership and gave myself permission. There's a quote that I live by. You don't get what you deserve. You only get what you demand. Are you waking up and demanding that the world take notice of you? Are you waking up and demanding that you create this amazing life of abundance and prosperity that you're in love with, thriving future? That's dependent upon you and no one else. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you demand. I grew up in Lafayette projects. And in that environment, it was bad enough that the environment on the outside was tough, was challenging. Every day that I came out of my house, I saw every other corner, there were people who were selling drugs. And then on the opposite corner were the people who were strung out on those drugs. I saw teenage pregnancy for girls as young as 12 and 13. I saw people who worked every single day, but still couldn't feed their families and had to be on government assistance, including my mother, the hardest working woman I know. My mother went to work every day. She worked for Baltimore City Public Schools for 25 years as the manager of a cafeteria. And yet, we were still so beneath the poverty line that we had to be on food stamps. And it used to irritate me and frustrate me as I got older, as a teenager. Like, why, how and why is this? How is this possible that someone can go to work every day, have the best level of integrity and honesty and loyalty and work ethic that I've ever seen, and still cannot put food on the table? You explain that to me. I couldn't get it. We were surviving. We weren't thriving. We were surviving. We barely had food on the table. Most nights it was beans. It was either lima beans or it was black-eyed peas. Y'all, let me just say something. Let me stop right here for you. If you show me a lima bean as an adult, I will go off. But that was her story and her truth, and she had to do what she knew how to do. But how many of you know when you know better, you do better? And I wanted better. I didn't want that to be my truth. I didn't want that to be my reality. Your past does not define you unless you give it permission to. Your past does not define you unless you give it permission to define you. I didn't want to be defined as Cheryl Wood, the girl who grew up in Lafayette Projects, who also continued the cycle of poverty. I don't want to survive. I want to thrive. And I grew up in that environment, and inside of my household was just as toxic because my father, unfortunately, suffered from alcoholism. So he would go into these drunken bouts, and it would be domestic violence and arguing and shouting, and he would bust out windows in my mother's apartment, and then the police would be called. And it was just this vicious cycle of poverty and scarcity and abuse and lack. I don't want to live in a space of lack. And I remember I used to cry out to God, God, how do I start thriving? I don't want to be in a space of scarcity and lack. I know you created me for more. I know I deserve more, but I didn't know how I was going to get to it. And even when I got out of that environment and I grew up and I graduated high school, you guys, I didn't go off for 4 years of self-discovery and higher learning to some Ivy League college. I wanted to get out of poverty, so I went straight from high school at 18 years old and I went to the workforce. And I stayed in that workforce for 15 years, doing what I had to do, not what I love to do. And how many of you know, and this is not bashing jobs, it's simply to say at some point you've got to identify what you want. Not what seems right, what feels right, what the world tells you you're supposed to do, but what do you want? To wake up fulfilled, to wake up where your spirit is full. What do you want? Identify that and then get started in working towards it. No, it ain't going to happen overnight. My journey, my transformation from there to here didn't happen overnight. So when I came into the corporate space, I landed a job as a legal secretary and I felt blessed. Number one, I felt like I shouldn't rock the boat because I felt like God had blessed me to have this job that was paying me $75,000 a year and I didn't even have a college degree. But the longer I stayed stuck in that space, and let me be clear, some of you are comfortable being uncomfortable. Woo! Somebody on their toes under the table right now. Some of you are staying stuck in a space of comfortable being uncomfortable. So I was uncomfortable in that my life was connected to building somebody else's dream and building somebody else's legacy, but I wanted different. I wanted greater. So I was uncomfortable with that, but I was comfortable with something called direct deposit. Can we have a moment and just get an amen for direct deposit? Okay. All right, y'all. Let me stay focused, right? That direct deposit was a beautiful thing. But that direct deposit made me stay comfortable. It made me not push the boundaries, color outside of the lines, explore, be curious, and see what else was available to me. And that comfort will keep you stuck for a long time. Comfort and greatness, comfort and thriving don't live on the same street. They don't live in the same block. They don't live in the same neighborhood. If you're going to have a thriving future, you must get uncomfortable. You must get used to being uncomfortable. And as soon as you get comfortable, get uncomfortable again. Do something else. Take some big risks. Do some things that scare you. Jot this down in your notes and in the chat. If it don't scare me, it can't grow me. Come on. We got to talk to ourselves. If it don't scare me, it can't grow me. Because if it don't scare you, it means you're still doing something that you're familiar with, that you're comfortable with. It ain't stretching you. It's not expanding you. There's no pressure that requires you to emerge new and different. It's not like the phoenix rising when you're doing something comfortable. You've got to do uncomfortable. You've got to do scary. You've got to do risks, because that's where your reward lies. That's where the greater future lies. That's where all of your possibilities lie. It's on the opposite side of everything that's comfortable. So I had gotten comfortable in that job, but then I became uncomfortable because in that job, after a certain amount of time, I was looking for growth. But there was no growth because the world, the corporations was still telling me, oh, you're going to have to stay stuck in this job, in this title, at this amount of money, because you don't have enough letters behind your name. So here I go from a space of poverty as a young child with a toxic mindset that I ain't never going to be, into this space in the corporate world where I'm giving them my all. I'm giving them 40 plus hours a week of my time. I'm giving them the best parts of me, but taking the worst parts of me to the people I say I love, my husband and my kids. Because when I come home, after giving them the best of me, now I'm tired, I'm grouchy, I'm irritable, I'm frustrated, and I'm unfulfilled. And that's what I brought home to my husband and my kids. And yet those same people that I gave the best of me to were the same people saying, you ain't enough still. You will stay here in this job, in this position, in this role, at this salary. And I got to a space where I said, enough is enough. I want to thrive. Type that in the chat. Let's just affirm it. We've got to reaffirm things for ourselves over and over and over again. Repetition is the mother of all learning. You say it over and over and over again. I want to thrive. I want to thrive. I want to thrive. I want y'all to type it in the chat. Come on. Every single person who is here, if you haven't typed anything else in the chat, please type that in the chat. I want to thrive. And that is where it starts. It is making the declaration, the decree, the affirmation that I want to thrive. And then you say, I deserve to thrive. And then you back it up and say, I will thrive. I want to thrive. I deserve to thrive. I will thrive. I demand that I thrive. Nothing else is acceptable. Mediocrity is not acceptable for my life. God didn't create no junk, and I'm not going to produce junk. I'm going to be the best version of me, the greatest version of me. And Maya Angelou has this beautiful quote. She says, pursue the thing you love doing and do it so well that people can't take their eyes off of you. That's the space that every single one of you has the ability to play in. A space where people can't take their eyes off of you. Because when they see you walking in your greatness, honoring your divine assignment, saying yes to your passion and purpose, taking care of yourself as you're on the journey to a greater you, taking care of your wellness and your fitness and implementing self-care and making sure you're implementing balance. It's possible. Nelson Mandela said, it's impossible until it's done, and then it's possible. So you have the opportunity to challenge yourself, to take all the things that you think are impossible and turn them into possible. It's possible that you can achieve anything you set your mind to. I had to start telling myself, Cheryl, it is possible for you to go from Cheryl, who is a legal secretary in a cubicle every day and just unfulfilled, to Cheryl, Dr. Cheryl Wood, international empowerment speaker, 2-time TEDx speaker, 15-time best-selling author who's traveling all across the world, speaking into the lives of others. Yes, it is possible. And you got to feed that thought process, that mindset every single day. And when your mind tries to take you back to the old way of thinking, you've got to interrupt. Y'all ever watched Law and Order or Criminal Minds or any of those shows? It's like, in the courtroom and you see somebody's giving an argument and then the other attorney says, oh, Your Honor, I object. You've got to start objecting to your own toxic thinking. Woo! Start objecting. Disconnect that conversation and plug in a new conversation. So in 2009, because this didn't happen yesterday, I didn't wake up as Dr. Cheryl Wood yesterday. I dreamed about this 12 years ago, about this reality. But y'all, don't despise small beginnings. Don't despise where you are. There are certain lessons that you can only get, you can only learn, you can only garner right now in the season that you're in. So stop despising this season and learn the lessons that you need in this season, because they are prepping you for the greater. They are prepping you for the thriving. They are prepping you for the next season where you will not be able to backtrack, rewind, and get the lessons you were meant to get in this season. You've got to get them now. So stop rushing out of this season because you think it's your time to manifest whatever you put on your vision board. What I had to remind myself of was this, Cheryl, not in your timing, in divine timing. Not in your timing, in divine timing. Everything will happen in divine timing, not when you think it should happen. Oh, I've been doing this for a couple of years. I've been working on it. I've been trying. I've been praying. I've been doing, okay, keep going. Keep going. Winners don't quit and quitters don't win. We keep going. We persevere. We are committed to, not interested in a thriving future that we deserve. What do you deserve? What are you willing to commit to until it manifests? Because you know you deserve it. So for me in 2009, I knew I deserved better. I knew I deserved a life where I had financial freedom, time freedom, creative freedom. I wanted to be able to walk my babies up to school at the start of the day, not 2-3 hours before, because I dropped them off at before care. I wanted to be there to pick them up at the end of school at 3 p.m., not at 6 p.m. because they were in aftercare. I wanted to bring the best parts of me home to my family and love on them and be the loving, mushy, gushy mama, not the grouchy, irritated, unfulfilled, frustrated mom. I wanted freedom. I wanted financial freedom. I didn't want anybody to cap my salary. Don't tell me I can make $75,000 a year. I can do more than that. I'm capable of more, but because I don't have a degree, a piece of paper that says I'm smart enough and good enough, you hold me hostage to where you think I belong. No, you don't have the right to dictate my future. I get to make those decisions and choices. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you demand. Yes, Lisa, freedom. Freedom was what I was chasing. Freedom was what I was after. That for me was thriving. And so in 2009, I started this little t-shirt business, y'all, called Moms Are the Best. I didn't know why I was selling t-shirts. Can I just be honest? Let me just take a moment. I ain't know why in a ham sandwich I was selling t-shirts. But what I knew was if I was going to have a different future, I had to do something different. I was not going to get different results if I didn't interrupt my norm, if I didn't disrupt everything I'd always thought and said and believed. I had to do something different to create something different. I had to take risks. I had to play all out. I had to be scared and do it anyway. I had to get around other amazing people, like a community like this that you have as a part of this amazing Black women's wellness event. I had to stay around these people. As my mama said, I had to go around people who celebrated me, not tolerated me. People who had the capacity to keep cheering for me over and over and over again. I had to become my own biggest cheerleader. But I went out and I sold those t-shirts because I was open to what God said I could receive. I was open to being curious about what else was possible. I was open to not knowing the how. Ooh. I was open to it not being perfect. I was open to messing up and failing flat on my face, y'all, in front of other people, for the world to see. But I'm worth it. I deserve the future that I know I've dreamed about, that God had downloaded into my mind was possible. I deserved it. I could get it. I could achieve it. It was possible. If I was willing to show up and do the work, put something in. For all my faith-based ladies, yes, y'all, you've got to remember the scripture. Faith without works is dead. You got to put some works to the faith. You can't just pray about it. You can't just ask other people to pray about it. You can't just be on your knees. When you get up off your knees, what are you doing? What are you putting in? What are you giving? So in 2009, I started that t-shirt business. I kept my full-time job because I had real bills to pay with a husband and 3 kids, y'all. And I kept pursuing the dream. And I did the t-shirts on the side. On the weekends, I would go to events. I would set up a table. Sometimes I would sell something. Sometimes I wouldn't sell anything. But I was setting myself up for the greater. And now in hindsight, all the things I went through in that journey of the t-shirt business, I realized, oh my God, it was setting me up for this time of manifestation where I am running $1 million speaking and coaching enterprise. I'm a little Black girl from Lafayette Projects. Whew. If that don't give you a spirit of gratitude, I've traveled and touched the soil of South Africa, poured into the lives of little Black girls who look like me to remind them that they can thrive, remind them that it doesn't matter what the world tells them, they are enough. I've traveled to parts of India, France, London, Jamaica, Bahamas. Whose life is this, God? Whose life is this? It's my life. And all of my actions to this point has shown God, I'm giving you something to work with. I know I get to thrive, God, but I know you're not just going to throw it in my lap. I've got to show up. I've got to speak up. I've got to follow up. I've got to put in the work. I've got to pay my dues. I've got to make the connections. I've got to build the relationships. I got to show up on a Saturday morning, and I got to do this, and I got to come, and I got to be a student, and I got to learn. I have to develop myself personally and professionally. I've got to get community. God, there's some things I've got to do, and I am willing to do it. God, I've got to invest to a level that scares me, but I'm worth it. I'm worth every investment that I make in myself. God, I'm going to do this. And you will get to a place in your journey where you look up and you say, everything I dreamed about, everything I journaled about, everything I put on my vision board, oh my God, it is manifested. But it's manifested because I made the decision. It's manifested because I would not give up, even in the times where I was in the valley, even when it was hard, even when I wanted to throw in the towel, but I made my life bigger than me. I knew there were people who were watching me and they would give up if I gave up. I understood that I was influencing and inspiring, and if I stop, they're going to stop. And God, I don't want that on my shoulders. So God, I'm going to keep showing up. That's what I'm asking from you this morning. That's what I'm challenging you to do today, is to keep showing up. Even when it gets so hard and you are bloodied and you are battered and you are bruised, because all those bruises will heal. Ooh. And when you are in your manifestation season, it will feel good in your spirit. And guess what happens then? You simply move the finish line, because the thing that is not growing is dying. And I always want to be on the side of growth, and you owe it to yourself to always be on the side of growth. So you keep looking for the next thing. How do I elevate? How do I expand? How do I grow? How do I cast my net wider? How do I touch more lives, God? How do I make this dream bigger? How do I supersize this thing? And you keep going. And that is what God has done in my life, for me, and through me. The things he has done just blow my mind. And I don't have some special sauce or seasoning. No. If I can do it, so can you. If I can come from nothing, so can you. If I can lose everything, because by the way, I lost everything on the journey, everything, as in hit rock bottom financially as I was pursuing the big dream, pursuing the future that I wanted, lost everything. But how many of you know that sometimes you got to lose everything in order to appreciate when you gain it all back and then some? God knows what he's doing. I need you to be present to the idea that your life matters. Thriving matters, because as soon as you thrive, somebody's looking at you and saying, if she can, so can I. I close with this because I could go on and on and on, because I love what I do. I thank you so much, Lisa, for having me as a part of this platform. I know we're going to try to get a couple questions in before I have to go, but let me close with this. In 2019, I had the amazing privilege to travel to Paris, France. And the reason I chose Paris, France, well, I've never been to Paris, France. I didn't speak the language. I didn't know anybody there. But my daughter went to a French immersion school. She speaks, reads, writes fluent French. So I chose to go to Paris, France, and I wanted to combine business and pleasure. So I said, this will be a great trip for my family. I always take my family with me on any international travels, but also I'm going to turn this into business. And I hosted my first international women's conference. It was amazing. So while my family and I are there, my husband and myself and my 3 kids, we go and we visit this place called the Louvre Museum. Well, the Louvre Museum is one of the biggest, largest museums in the world. It has over 300,000 paintings and pieces of work in the Louvre Museum. You can't even get through it in one day. There are major, massive paintings, and there are small paintings. The largest painting in the Louvre Museum is about 3,000 pounds. There's another painting there that pales in comparison that's only 18 pounds. And yet it is one of the most visited pieces of work in the world. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called the Mona Lisa. And when we got there to the Louvre Museum, this little itty bitty 18-pound painting that's hanging on the wall, we didn't realize there was going to be a separate entrance just to get in and get a glimpse of this painting. We didn't realize we were going to have to stand in line for 20 minutes just to get a glimpse of this amazing painting. People from all parts of the world were there. We could hear accents and we could look and we could say, wow, they look like they're from Asia and they sound like they're from Australia and Africa and India and all these parts of the world. Oh, and they must be from the USA. And all of us, before we even get up close to the Mona Lisa, are on our tiptoes already trying to get a picture of it before we even get up close. And as we inch up closer and closer and closer, we realize that there's a wooden barrier, almost like a gate, around the Mona Lisa because it is priceless. It's one of a kind. So you can get close, but not too close. There's a guard that stands on both sides of the Mona Lisa because the Mona Lisa is a original, priceless masterpiece. My sisters, I say to each and every one of you today, you are the Mona Lisa. Whew. Please receive that in your spirit. You are the Mona Lisa. You are an original design. You are a masterpiece that no one can duplicate, and people will come from all parts of the world just to get a glimpse of you, just to be in the room and experience your gift, to hear your conversation, to be influenced by you, to be touched by you. People come from all parts of the world because you are walking in your brilliance. So be the Mona Lisa. Own being the Mona Lisa and show up, and don't you dare dim your light. Now is the time to create a future you're in love with and to thrive and become the greatest, most amazing version of who you are destined to be. I thank you so much for having me.
Woo! Scream, y'all. Come on. Woo! Dr. Cheryl Wood. Dr. Cheryl Wood. I want y'all to remember this woman's name, Dr. Wood. I want you to know we had to turn off our cameras and go gather around one laptop because you took us to church and we were in there hollering, screaming, shouting, testifying. Because this morning, this message was even more than what we needed, even more than what we expected, building the future we deserve. There are so many things that the chat is on fire. The women are on fire. Tell us what we're seeing, Aaliyah. Tell us what we're seeing. We want to ask you questions, but I'm beside myself because I've been scribbling, trying to keep up with all of the jewels that you dropped.
We are not okay. We are okay, but we are not okay. We are transformed. We are on fire. The chat is live. I got my cell phones going off. People are like, who is this? Where? This is exactly what we needed. Perfect timing, God's timing. The message was on point, just delivered in the most beautiful way. And we're just grateful. People are like, I need to take a lap. Someone go get the usher. Thank you. I mean, we in church. I mean, it's Saturday, but it's Sunday on today. So that's really what we're just, tears are happening. Screams are happening. We're grateful this is recorded because we're going to need to watch this back and back. This is affirmation. This is food for our soul, food for our spirit. Gratefulness. Just that's what we're experiencing.
Woo! Lord have mercy. Someone said, when are you going to bring your light to Ferguson, Missouri, Dr. Wood?
Come on, let's make it happen.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. And when you guys see me, like I'm trying to keep it cute because I got to go back downstairs and speak. And I don't want to mess up this beat face, but there's so much gratitude in my spirit that God gave me. I always say that he added super to my natural.
Yes.
Because without it, I would have quit a long time ago. Like, becoming who you're destined to be is a journey, y'all. And sometimes we are our own worst critics. Sometimes we have toxic mindsets and thoughts, but we've got to keep pushing through because there's so much greater. I can't even recognize my own life anymore. I don't even recognize my own life. And I thank God for giving me that energy and that vibrancy to get back up, to have resilience, to say I'm not going to quit, even when it was hard, even when people counted me out, even when I counted me out. And that's what I pass on to each and every one of you. Keep getting back up. I will never, type that in chat, I will never stop getting back up. I will never. And then once you get to a certain place in the journey, you look back, you be like, oh shoot, I ain't got nothing to go back to. I got to keep going forward. Ain't nothing back there for me. I got to keep going. But you got to keep getting back up.
Woo, you said make the decision, keep showing up, keep getting up. I want to just note, Dr. Wood, we've known each other on the fringes for a very long time. When I lived in Maryland, you live in Maryland. I saw you at your earliest beginnings when you were speaking and beginning to build, and I could see the elevation over time. It's been maybe a decade since I left the East Coast, and now I turn back, following you all along. But this place, as you said, the seeds you planted then, when you made a decision that what you were doing was fine to support your family. You were a paralegal, legal assistant, doing what was necessary. Nothing is wrong with that. We all have to do what is necessary for a time. Yes. And then comes that time when your heart, when that thing that you said that God placed in each one of us speaks to your soul and says, you can no longer stay in this place. That transition is a hard transition. That's a faith walk. That's sleepless nights. That's planning. That's talking and consulting with trusted advisors. That's looking at the numbers and trying to figure out, how do I get from here to here? And it's that big 4-letter word that you said at the beginning. It's fear that you have to look down, stare down, and fight through. And fight through. This is not Cheryl Wood became an international speaker and coach overnight because she wasn't afraid of anything. This is, I'm betting Cheryl Wood had to scrape through fear and uncertainty and do the faith work and the trust with the works, with the effort, with the action. Tell us just a little bit about that, because I feel that there are women who are at that place. They know their gift, they know their talent, but they're not sure. They're uncertain. They got children to feed. They got husbands and partners to support. They got good jobs and they got direct deposit. But there's something else calling to their spirit. Talk to us about making that step.
Oh my goodness. I mean, the truth is just, if you're not willing to give yourself, don't expect to receive nothing. It just is what it is. You are never going to achieve anything in the realm of greatness and you don't give something up. You don't walk away from something. You don't release something. It doesn't work that way. Like, you've got to be willing to press through the hardest parts of the journey to get to the greatest part of the journey. I just got back from California. Now I'm in Atlanta. Next week, I'm flying to St. Martin. And every time I go to these places, guess what I have to do? Get on a plane. And guess what happens every plane ride? We're going up in the sky and there's this turbulence and the plane is shaking and I'm grabbing onto somebody next to me like I ain't never flown before. And guess what? But I know that I have to go through that turbulence to get above where we're in the clouds, and now we're smooth sailing. How are you going to expect to get to smooth sailing and you ain't been through no turbulence?
Woo!
Come on now. Every plane ride I'm on, there's turbulence and there's shaking. Until we break through that barrier, and now we're in the sky, we're in the clouds, and we're smooth sailing. You've got to expect turbulence. And once you get on the other side of that turbulence, it's so beautiful. It could be raining underneath the clouds, and you break through the barrier and through the turbulence, and the sky is clear, and you're like, what is this? That's what's available to every one of you. There are clear skies waiting for you to show up, but you got to press through the turbulence first.
Press through the turbulence first. Dr. Cheryl Wood, we wish we could keep you here and ask you questions for the next hour, but we know you got to get down there on stage with Les Brown. Can you tell us really quickly the title of your new book? Show it to us again for all the women who want to go out and purchase. You Are Enough. Tell us 30 seconds.
So this is one of them. This is the one I just published called You Are Enough with Les, and it's an anthology. So we had 74 amazing co-authors who told their story in this book. I have another one coming out. I have 2 more projects with Les. One is coming out November the 1st, and that's called Unleash Your Undeniable Impact. And then in January, I'm doing yet another project with him called Possibilities Unlimited. So I didn't know Les. Six months ago. I knew of him, but we weren't in relationship. So when I tell you, God will take all the sowing and the planting, and it'll feel like overnight. And all of a sudden I'm in partnership with, he calls me on the phone. I'm since I got pinched myself, I'm like,
Call you on the phone. Come on now.
Yesterday, while I was in the car with my daughter to fly here to Atlanta. He knew that my daughter was coming. He asked to speak to my daughter. Like that type of being amongst greatness, right? That doesn't just happen. It happens because you pay the dues, you put the time in, you put the energy, you keep showing up, you speak up and tell people what you want. You're not afraid to dream big. You're not afraid to say, I'm going for it. And yeah, I might fall down on the way, but I'm going to keep getting back up. It's okay. Don't take yourself too seriously. Laugh at yourself when you mess up and keep getting back up. Be like, that was a hot mess. Okay, let's do the next one. Like you keep going. You keep going. Be like, Because it's so funny how people who don't do nothing, they always judge the people that's doing something. So yes. In your ear and tell you what you ain't doing, what you should be doing, how it could have been better, how it should have been, would have been. No. You don't have a right to speak into my dreams and my journey when you ain't even doing nothing. Because it's easier to be on the sideline judging somebody else than it is to be in the game. Do not be a spectator in your own life. That's my closing words. Stop being a spectator in your own life. I am not sitting on the sidelines of my own life. Hallelujah. I am not. I will not sit on the sidelines. Oh, I will live a juicy life. I will have some good stories to tell. I will have my children, Lisa. My children will come from wealth. Do you hear what I'm saying? I came from scarcity and poverty, but my children are coming from wealth. That's a decision. That's a decision about the future that you want to create.
Dr. Cheryl Wood, clap Dr. Cheryl Wood up in the chat. Send our sister away with love. She has left us with power. She has left us with, we are not interested in having a thriving future. We are committed to having a thriving future, and we will. Dr. Cheryl Wood, thank you for blessing us today. Everyone, stay with us here on the main stage as we transition to Living Well at Every Age, our Senior Women Workshop with Dr. Debbie Jones and Gail Johnson. Thank you so much, Dr. Wood. Safe travels and a successful event today. We love you.
Thank you. I love you all. Thank you for having me. This is amazing. Thank you for the platform and the work that you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.